Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Hit the like, the subscribe, and the share button. And of course, make sure you've got the bell notifications turned on. One of the most eagerly anticipated side dishes when it comes to Premier League football is the hearing and the situation between Manchester City Football Club and the Premier League and the 115 charges. At the top of this video, I'll reiterate it again for anybody that doesn't know. My stance is very simple. We will talk about the stories. We will show the supposed leaks. We will condemn if City are guilty, but equally, if City have done nothing wrong and are proven to be innocent in all of this, I myself, I can't speak for other people on the Football Terrace, will also state that. But I do think it's a very important story to keep abreast of and keep looking at. And there's a number of new leaked documents, one of which you can see on the screen, which is the official contract between Manchester City Football Club and Roberto Mancini, and an article today that not only shows you and lets you have access to all of these documents and details, but goes into great detail and depth around what the charges are for, why they are under investigation, and I implore people to read it. Too often there are conversations on both sides of this argument where you can clearly see people haven't really read the in-detailed argument. So a link is in our description below. And what's really key when you go onto this story and you scroll down, this is from Nick Harris. It explains the 115 charges and 5 things to look for as the commission starts work this month. We are on the brink of starting to get answers, and it goes on to talk about the hearing by an independent disciplinary commission into Manchester City's 115 case, or the 115 alleged breaches of the Premier League rules, starts this month, according to a report in the Times in August. The case is expected to take 10 weeks, with a verdict in the first few months of 2025. So we know that this is a big court case. We know that there is 10 weeks is a long time. There is so much evidence. And I think what's been leaked to the media, according to the Premier League, they say is the tip of the iceberg. Manchester City's defense of that is actually, that's all you've really got, and there isn't much else. But of course, we as football fans have the opportunity to take a look at this and to a degree make our minds up ahead of time. But I would say this and stress it. You should absolutely be open to your mind changing. You absolutely should. Now, when you actually go into this article in more detail, it starts to describe today, it goes through the recap and try to sort of simplify the 115 charges and give some updates now. The hearing is imminent. And there are updates. There is new information in this. So don't just disregard it as a reiteration of the same information that has come out. And it speaks about the individual, the whistleblower himself that's gathered some of the Footy Links documentation as well. It speaks about how City believed back in 2014 they would face no punishment. Why it seems inevitable City will be secured at the end of the independent commission deliberation. And for some of the charges, at least, sanctions might range from a slap on the wrist through to a big points deduction. But what's really key is it breaks down the individual charges. And what I found a really interesting read today and got to see new documentation is when you get to the alleged secret backhanders, and there is 14 charges surrounding alleged, and I repeat that again, alleged backhanders. So essentially, managers and players being paid bonuses that are in their contracts, but not being paid them by the club, being paid by outside agents to ensure that City were not breaking any FFP or PSR rules. And when you go into the article, you can click on the links in the article that detail this, and it gives you great detail and a huge amount of information. For instance, here, this is Yaya Touré's contract, and it goes into great detail about Yaya Touré's contract. You see all the signatures and the bonuses, and then there is a series of emails to go through, read, and digest about the actual mechanisms of the payments. Now, these, as far as I'm aware, have not been seen before. You also have the full, and I repeat, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, so hopefully you guys can see it a little bit better. It's not actually letting me zoom in on the screen, so we'll just continue to scroll down as normal. But the full, as you can see, oh, there we go, it's working now. Contract of Roberto Mancini, obviously signed in December 2009. This details on page 2 and 3 the kind of bonuses that he would receive, and much, much more. And again, when you scroll through this, it takes a little while to read, and I implore you to do it. You then start to get, once you go through all the terms and conditions of the contract, and there's lots of them, you start getting into email trails and all sorts of different elements as well. So I implore people to go and read it, because I think it's very, very important to digest it yourself. But it breaks down these alleged backhanders in the article and problems that Manchester City could face in this court case. And it breaks it down here, and it shows that Mancini's contract to manage City dated in December 2009. On the same date he signed the contract to provide, it was the same day that and there's also a contract in there as well, the same day that he signed a contract to provide coaching services for a minimum of 4 days a year with the Al Jazeera club in Abu Dhabi, where the chairman is Sheikh Mansour, the owner of City, also in a 3.5-year deal for 1.75 million a year. It has always been stressed by Man City that Sheikh Mansour, who you can see in the picture below, at the 2023 Champions League final, owns City in a personal capacity, and that City are definitely not owned or controlled by the state of the UAE. Although people from that region say this isn't true, but that's another debate and conversation for another day. It then goes on to say that Mancini's contract with Al Jazeera was at pains to stress it should be kept secret. And you can see all of this, saying neither you, your company, nor the club, without the prior written consent of others, disclose the existence or the terms of this agreement to any third party. Both City's contract and the Al Jazeera contract were signed by the same person on behalf of Manchester City. So you can see the signature for yourself on that PDF and on that level that we were at. It appears to provide clear evidence that City's executives were instrumental in paying Mancini for his Al Jazeera work. However, that actually was the email below. For example, sent in July 2012 from Manchester City's then Chief Financial Officer Graham Wallace to City's then Head of Finance, asked to do the usual and remit the funds to what they call the ADUG, which is City's parent company, and arrange for that to be sent to Al Jazeera so they could pay a company, IIS, which was effectively owned by Mancini. It was for Mancini's work in Al Jazeera. And there's lots of this to go through. And I think some of the real key standout words here are do the usual. So City's parent group sends the money to Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera then pay Mancini. And the accusation, and I stress this is an accusation at this point, is that then circumvents the PSR rules, as it were. They're stating that isn't the way around this should be done. Al Jazeera should be paying him directly, but it's the City Group that are paying him. And they believe that to be a breach of the rules and regulations. And there's a lot of that in this article, and I think you should go and read it. The reason I sort of focus heavily on this is I certainly haven't, on any of the articles or any of the websites I've been on, seen these leaked documents, and I think they are very intriguing, to say the least. Some are going to say damning, some are going to say this proves City a cheat, some are going to say that City are dead men walking. There will be some Man City fans that have no absolute problem with this and still believe that this is a witch hunt, and I do understand that stance. It's why this 10-week case is so important. It's why this 10-week case is so, I think it's one of the most pivotal elements that English football has ever, one of the pivotal moments in English football history. It has the potential to rewrite the last decade or so of history in this country. It could even go as far as destroying the Premier League if the Premier League are proven to be liars, swindlers, on a witch hunt, as many people think they are. It could destroy Manchester City Football Club forever. It could destroy half of a city. This is why I think it's so big. And I've said this many times before, the lack of conversation and dialogue around this is crazy. It really, really is. So look, that's why we speak about it. And I will reiterate, and I did it at the beginning of the video, and I'm going to do it again. This does not confirm or prove that Manchester City have broken these said rules. Based on what we're seeing, you can have an opinion on it. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. But the next 10 weeks, I think, are going to be eye-opening for everybody. But look, If it was my club, I'd be really worried about these types of leaks. That's just my personal and humble opinion on this. Because, I mean, even the documents being out there and emails being out there, I'd be a bit apprehensive and a bit anxious about, because I still think it's private. You don't want this stuff out there. And I'd love to hear your views, and I'd love to hear your opinions on these new developments. And they are new. Unless someone can show me some old articles where these were in, I personally haven't seen them. So I'm always open to being educated on that. Hit the like and the share button for me. Make sure you are all subscribing to the Football Terrace. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you again soon. Peace.